It's Rut and River.
Yes.
Correct.
R-U-T.
I rest my beard hair on it.
And then you know you're there.
Like a nice, gentle little pillow for my beard.
Right.
And then I'm all up in it.
Oh.
I'm like Kobe beef for sharks.
Can I ask you, what made you guys call me up about, well, this?
That's what tickles our fancy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thought the Rocky Mountains would be rockier.
John Denver is not accurate.
Man.
A guy like you, who has absolutely no clue, and I can hear it in your voice, that, I mean, you're a blank canvas. I mean, I can just start with you like from scratch.
You're going to tell me, a grown man, you're telling me what lure to use and how to fish?
You guys didn't snap your whopper plopper off either, though. Sorry, I blew up over that.
And we are back. This is the Rut and River Pursuits podcast, and we are around the Sonic Campfire.
There it went.
I want to remind everybody that this is Reality Outdoor Radio, where our mission is to get you in the outdoors by introducing you to the people, skills, and products that you can trust.
You can trust them.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Brian, and who else do I have with me tonight?
I'm Will.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
This is Dave.
Hey, welcome everybody.
What's going on?
How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hey, Bucky, can you tell us about this month's sponsor?
I'll tell you about our sponsor. This month's sponsor is our good friend at Dusk to Dawn Bow Fishing and Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service, Captain Mark Spagnola.
Ooh, good old Cat Mark.
The one and only. Both Dusk to Dawn Bow Fishing and Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service are operated out of the eastern shore of Maryland, as well as the Chesapeake Bay area. In the summer months, you can bow fish for species the likes of stingrays, gar, and snakeheads, while in the winter, Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service can put you on sea ducks of all makes and models.
Little fighter pilots just flying in an inch off the water.
Yep.
Those little speedy little buggers.
You and Stevie love them. Spend a lot of ammo on them. You can learn and book these epic outdoor experiences at dusttodawnbowfishing.com or marylandwaterfowl.com.
Noise. Get you some.
And tell Captain Mark the Rut and River boys said hello.
Love that bow fishing.
I'll tell you what.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right.
So, Brian, what do you got us into here tonight, bud?
What did you do?
Well, everybody knows that we're in the middle of Big Fish Month.
So,
we contacted somebody that catches some big fish.
Is that right?
Yes. Yes, we do. And we have a guest with us tonight, Miss Captain Jaime Hughes of Breakline Charters.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
The Catfish Queen.
The Catfish Queen
is on the line.
Jaime, how are you? Are you there?
I am good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Absolutely. I actually, I remember the first time I met Captain Jaime was at the
changed your
Donegal
life,
show.
didn't it?
Yeah. I've heard tales being told
like catfish
of the Catfish Queen.
Yeah.
From Catfish, actually. And sure enough, we're at the Donegals. Yeah. We're at the Donegals, and he introduces me to her. So it was pretty cool. It's been a while. You know, that was, I guess we're pushing 2 years now.
Yeah. You guys have history.
Yeah.
Time flies.
It does. I guess we're having fun, right?
Unfortunately, and I hate to bring this up, and maybe we'll cut it out, but Jaime, the first time at the Donegals, you weren't feeling so hot.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You pushed through some, like, laryngitis and whatever.
Dude, I had all kinds of bad stuff happening with me. It was not good, but I had to do that seminar. So I got up and told everybody, I'm like, all right, just bear with me. Yeah, and I don't know, I'll tell you, that was probably the best 45 minutes of my day. I just pushed through it and it went fine, but I was in bad shape.
Closer. Come closer. No, it was a good presentation, and you know,
thank you.
People in this area, I think they love you, and they just eat that up. So I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I enjoy speaking and seminars and helping people out. I mean, I'm a guide on the river, but I'm also a guide off the river. I mean, there's a good portion of my day is spent answering messages and emails and Facebook Messenger, just fishing questions. just stuff that, people they just think, well, I'll just ask Jamie quick. She'll know, or she'll tell me if she knows or not. And that's the other thing is when I don't know, I say I don't know, and I try to, push people to someone that will know.
Sure.
I think that's a big thing. Being able to say I don't know is important. So,
which I find fascinating is that we haven't got any calls saying that Jamie told me to call you guys.
No referrals, not yet.
Yeah,
come on.
No, I get it.
After tonight, that will change.
I doubt it. It's really going to stay the same.
So, Jamie, tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are and where you came from. Just kind of a 50,000-foot view of Breakline Charters.
Okay, well, I'm 39 years old, and 8 years ago, I decided I wanted to be a fishing guide. And the reason I decided that is because I spent my life fishing for various species, but mostly catfish. My dad, my uncle, and I would go to York Haven Dam. A neighbor that lived across the street whenever I was growing up join us. We'd spend so many nights every week, at least every weekend, and sometimes weeknights too, just fishing there off the the catwalk or at Bruner Island when you could still fish there. And I really enjoyed it. And then, I got older. Whenever I was able to drive, got a kayak first. Did a lot of kayak fishing before kayak fishing was like the trendy thing.
Yeah.
This is going back a long time.
Yeah.
And then, I got my first boat, started getting into bass tournaments. I know we're supposed to be talking about catfish, but I am definitely a multi-species angler.
Right.
We don't discriminate amongst fish.
Well, thank you. And I started a bank fishing club. A buddy of mine and I started a bank fishing club. We called it Catfish Fridays. And it was for people that wanted to just come out, sit by the river, catch catfish, socialize, have a good time. Right. I didn't charge anything for it. I just, I went to yard sales and flea markets and got as much equipment as I could manage, to get these people out and let them enjoy the sport.
So you provided the gear for these people. You invited them, and
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Catfish Fridays was kind of a fun little thing. Then people wanted me to take them out in in my boat, and I couldn't really do that. They're like, "Well, I'll give you some gas money." I'm like, I can't do that. Pennsylvania has rules against that kind of stuff. You can't take anything as payment for taking somebody fishing unless you have a guide permit, and they're really strict about that. So enough people wanted to go that I thought, well, what the heck, getting a guide permit's not that big of a deal. So I went and got that so that I could start taking people out. Started out casual, and then very quickly realized that if I wanted to be truly successful as a angler and business, I would have to spend a lot more time on the water. That being out a couple days a week wasn't going to cut it. You got to be out almost every day to pattern and chase these things.
Yeah.
So
seems like that might kind of break your heart. I can just tell.
And so then here we are 8 years later. Breakline Charters. Do a lot of, I'd say catfish is probably 80% of my business.
Okay.
And then maybe we've got some smallmouth mixed in. And then I also charter in Chincoteague, Virginia.
Wow.
Very, very, very limited trip offerings down there. I do a week of flounder and our Shark Week, which we just wrapped up Shark Week. We killed it. We had 39 this year. It was pretty awesome.
Wow.
So 5 over 5 feet.
Whoa. What?
Yeah.
Where you're going out at Chincoteague for the sharks too? Is that right?
Yeah, Chincoteague, Virginia. Yep.
Okay.
Very cool.
And what kind of sharks are you catching down there over 5 foot?
Well, there's two kinds that we're really catching, and whenever they're small, it's hard to tell the difference. It takes a pretty trained eye, and in the dark isn't always the easiest, but it's sandbar and dusky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if you look up pictures of those and read a little bit about them, you'll see they're extremely similar. And every now and then we'll get a hammerhead too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it probably could have been high noon. I wouldn't have been able to tell them apart. I was asking you.
So you go out at night for these shark?
Yeah, so I do day and night.
Okay.
The night trips, like next year's Shark Week, the day I got back, I announced next year's Shark Week, and every night filled except for Wednesday. So I've only got one night left next week. Shark Week's I don't know, it's the biggest, novelty fun thing.
Yeah, that is cool.
So that's just a very small part of the business, but we have fun with that. And like I said, very multi-species. So.
Now, are you boating those sharks? Is catch and release, or what's the story on those?
So my rule is it's going to also depend on the angler, their ability to control the shark and their competence for safety reasons. But regardless of who's in my boat, anything over 5 feet gets released at the side.
Okay.
Can you jump in the water for a quick photo and then?
Dude, you do not want to jump in the water. I
You're
put out
absolutely
so
correct.
much
I do not
chum.
want to.
Oh man, I got a friend that talked to his butcher about bottling blood for me, and I actually got, like the little personal spring water bottles.
Yeah.
He just gave me like a bag full of those, full of blood. So every night, every day, I'd go out and I'd just put out various kinds of chum and just be dumping bottles of blood. And our baits would be in the water, and you'd just see dorsals and tail tips just all around the boat. You definitely don't want to get in the water.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sharks is just a little thing, but back to Breakline. The important stuff is the Susquehanna River. I mean, I grew up fishing it, and I love it. I love all its quirky things. Sometimes it annoys the heck out of me with, the way it changes, but, that changing is, I don't know, it's just part of fishing on the Susquehanna. And one day it's going to be, 9 feet at the Harrisburg gauge, and 3 days later it could be down to 4. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's a great point. Like, how do you navigate that?
How can you run a business on how that changes so much?
I have to be out there all the time. All right. So even if it's, let's say I only have 3 trips booked for 1 week, I'm going to be out pretty much every day of that week anyhow. Just trying to locate them, seeing where they're at. Whenever the river gets really, really, really low, it can get tricky for the catfish because the oxygen level gets down. Right. The water temperatures are really high. Yep. It can make for a really tough bite. Times like that, you just kind of hope for some kind of weather anomaly, like a crazy thunderstorm, or just, I don't know, anything to break up the heat wave.
Sure.
Will typically get them feeding again. But it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of times where I wonder what the heck was I thinking picking a job that depends on income, from the Susquehanna River. I mean, there's people that own a boat that, say they didn't go out at all last year because it was high all year. I don't have that option. I have to be out there. Right. You have to learn to fish the river and be safe on it and comfortable on it at all stages.
Jamie,
that was going to be my follow-up question. That was how you compare this year to last year when it was so high the whole time. Now you're dealing with low levels and high temperatures, but last year was a completely different story.
Totally different river last year. So last year we had the high water all year. We're fishing a lot, ducking for cover. It made for some tricky smallmouth fishing. The catfishing was actually pretty good because I like high muddy water for catfish. Yeah. But this year it's been tough. I mean, we're still catching fish for sure, but our big fish numbers are down compared to last year. Last year we set a new boat record at 44.5 pounds.
Wow.
And this year our biggest fish is only 34. Now I say only 34. I mean, that's still a respectable fish. Okay, that's still a respectable fish. But, last year at this time we had many 30 pluses. So just been tough.
What?
But they're out there, and you just gotta get good electronics are key. I know it sucks to spend the money, but man, whenever you can get like down inside imaging and you can, see them stacked up, doesn't always mean they're hungry, but if you see them stacked up, you can at least fish it. And then if they're not hungry, move to the other spot. That good electronics definitely helped me a lot.
Yeah. What is it about high muddy water that seemed to turn the catfish on?
Well, so let's say the river's up, 10 feet at the river gauge there at Harrisburg. We're reaching action level. If you were going out in your boat and you wanted to anchor up, you're going to see all this debris, all this bad, barrels, and, well, it's the Susquehanna, so it could be a little bit of everything, cars, whatever. just kind of floating down the river. you're gonna anchor for cover. And you're not gonna be out in that debris path. All right, so you're gonna be anchored off to the side, and that's part of what makes it a little easier, we'll say, to catfish when the water's higher, because the catfish are doing the same thing.
Right.
Okay, so you can kind of isolate them. Now, the other thing to think about is, from a bank fishing standpoint, high water is excellent for bank fishing. Not only does it give you more water access, but it also, especially, if you can catch it as it's rising, all of the insects, worms, all of the things that are going to get pushed up and out of the ground, the smaller fish are going to come in to eat on them, and then you're going to get your catfish to come to feed on them. So there's so many things. There's so many things about high water that make catfishing great.
So Jamie, what equipment do you have? What boat do you have? What motor you run? What's your setup that you usually get out on the river with?
All right. So whenever I wanted to get my boat built, I wanted to get a 24-footer, custom built the way I wanted laid out, because I started with an 18-foot guide boat, but I was limited on how many people I could take out, and I could not take folks out that were, in any kind of wheelchair or had any kind of assistance device. Okay. And that's something that's important to me.
Yeah.
So what I did is I got a 24-foot Sea Arc, just the basic 24-72 open John boat. And then I took it to Rockproof Boats, and he totally customized it. We put in front deck storage, moved the console up to the front deck, floor storage in the back, raised the transom, custom rod tower. And probably the key feature about my boat is the center bench seat, which is green and black and looks really cool and everything, is not attached at all. It's just sitting in there.
Oh, really?
And yeah, the reason for that is because when I have someone out that's in a wheelchair, I can pull that out, and then they've got all that room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Like tons of room. Like it's actually super comfy. And I don't know. Over the years, I've met some families with children that, bank fishing, I hate to say it, but the bank fishing spots are dwindling, and it's because of disrespect and clutter, and it's a shame because there are people that's all they can do. So I do work with some families that, surely can't afford a boat that would accommodate their family, and bank fishing is not an option. So we work it out that I can take them and their kids out.
Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
So being able to take that seat out is important.
So
and then it's powered by a jet, a 150, 110 Mercury jet.
Okay.
Nice.
Push it pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it does all right.
So I have to say this, and for people that haven't had a chance to go over to Breakline Charters on Instagram or Facebook, like this boat, every once in a while will be out, and I know it's Jamie. Like it stands out, like nobody's business, and the color scheme, which is, I think it's classic. And did you pick all that stuff, or was it part of the package, I guess?
No, so whenever I got it back, it was just raw aluminum. I got to decide what colors to go with, and my favorite color is purple, but I didn't think that would really fly for a business color. So.
Tell that to the Ravens.
Well, yeah, I guess. So that's why I went with the lime green and black. But it looks cool, and it's kind of stuck. So
yeah, the lime green and the black boat. It's a force of its own out there. And like I said, every once in a while, I'm like the fanboy over on the bank waving. But it's cool. It really is. You really did bring some.
And
pizzazz.
Rockproof does an amazing job on those custom builds. I mean, those boats are just silly.
Yeah. That company does so much for our river.
Hey, Jamie, what electronics are you running?
Humminbird.
Which?
Wait, is there any other brands? Because I don't think there is. So.
Which model?
I have Helix 10 and a 5, and I run them both. So I run one with GPS open all the time, and then the other one I run with split screen with the side and down, so that I can see everything at the same time.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Wow.
That's a slick system. Helix 10s are nice.
Yeah, definitely kind of spoiled myself with the 10. It's probably bigger than what I needed, but because I wanted to just use it solely for the split screen, it makes sense.
Yeah,
But
you buy it once, you won't have to upgrade.
The second you buy it, it's obsolete. It's like a TV.
That's the thing.
I bought it. Now it's probably worth $5, but
I'll give you 10.
Jeez, you beat me to it.
So, like we love to talk to different people in the outdoor industry, and we love to find out what makes you tick to do this, because it takes a different mindset. Like we talked a little bit about how you got started as a young adult and as a child, but like what's your drive now?
People. It's the people. It's all right. I'm gonna probably sound cheesy. Bear with me, guys. All right. It's absolutely the people. I mean, do we always catch the biggest fish out there? Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
I mean, I definitely don't claim we catch the biggest fish. Far from it. There's some nights where we'll only boat 10 little, 5 to 10 pounders, but people have a blast. We joke. I can't tell you, because what happens on the river stays on the river. But
heard that before.
We have a really good time out there, and so many memories made. I don't do advertising. You're not going to see me on billboards or in newspapers, classifieds, none
Podcasts.
of that. It's all, well, yeah, there's that, because, you guys are awesome, but,
just kidding.
But it's all, it's word of mouth. It's referrals. It's,
true.
It's making those solid memories. It's seeing kids year after year grow up, spend time with me, seeing them change and become adults. It's extremely rewarding. So to me, my job is as much people as it is fishing. And I'll tell you what, they're both equally as hard to figure out sometimes.
Yeah. That's make or break for me with the charter captain, and their job is if it's enjoyable, like the fishing and the catching's one thing, but if it's a good time, that's how you get repeat customers, and that's how you get to build a relationship with a captain year after year, and that's what's going to keep you lasting in the industry.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I'm the same way whenever I'm picking a captain. I mean, I've got a very short list of people that I take my family out with, and for me, that's a huge vacation, to not have to be running the boat, to not have to be doing all the work, to just be able to sit back and watch my family have a good time. I put myself in my clients' shoes a lot, so it's important to me to be that good guide for them, and interact with the kids and teach them things and let them get their hands dirty and, really, really make those memories.
What is a vacation fishing trip for you?
Good question.
They're hard to come by anymore. Pretty busy. But, I have a fish bucket list. Okay, so I've got some fish that I want to catch, and the list is slowly getting smaller. I really wanted a peacock bass. Got that a few years ago down in Miami.
Did you?
Miami was a really awesome trip. We got gar, bowfin, jack crevalle, peacock. What else? Snook.
All those cichlids?
Yes, there were cichlids for sure. Yeah, we had a good time. And then, when I'm in Chincoteague, even though they're running trips for the week, I'm still going to find a little bit of time to fish for myself. But I don't fish a lot personally anymore during the active season because I'm chartering. But I'll tell you when I make up for that is ice fishing. So when winter rolls around,
did you read my notes?
A little bit about this.
I wanted to talk to you about ice fishing a little bit. Saw that on the Instagram.
Ice fishing is one of my favorite things in the world. So I work real hard all summer, running trips and being sleep deprived and pulling my hair out over river conditions and, just working really hard so that whenever the lakes freeze up, I can be out there drilling holes. I love ice fishing.
Do you only ice fish in PA, or do you travel a little bit?
I don't really travel much. The other thing is, I do have 4 kids under my roof, so, I don't like to be away from home much, especially whenever I don't have to be.
Sure.
You know, they miss me a lot. I'm gone a lot over the summer. I definitely spend more time with, other people's families than I do my own. So in the wintertime, yeah, I like to ice fish. The farthest I'll usually go is like to the Poconos, because I can still do that in a day trip and then be back in the evening to be with them.
Right. Yeah, no, it's just we have that small window that, the ice fishing.
Yes.
But it seems like when you make hay when the sun is frozen.
Some of those years the window's a little smaller than other years.
But also that ice fishing can be even more of a social activity than regular fishing. So you can take out the kids and have a little bit less pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's super chill. It's so relaxing being out on the ice. Everything's clean and quiet and crisp. The air, I don't know, there's something about it. If you haven't done it, you got to try it.
Definitely.
It's life-changing. Just make sure the ice is thick enough or else it'll be really life-changing.
Yeah.
Safety first.
So where is your favorite place to ice fish? If you can give that information to us.
The Latin Long.
Oh,
I didn't say the most productive.
Really?
I said the favorite for your favorite
You can
place.
say, I guess, the Poconos or what, regional?
Well, I'm a catch and release angler. So catch and release lakes for me are just fine because I'm not taking, a bunch of crappie home or anything.
Yeah.
So I really like Lake Jean, which is up at Ricketts Glen.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a neat area. The lake freeze is super solid. When everybody else might only have, 5 to 7 inches of ice, that place has got 10 to 14. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's an anomaly up there in the mountains.
Awesome.
But it is catch and release, and they do watch you. So you definitely want to catch and release.
You're being watched.
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool.
Check them regs. That's
Check
what we
those
say.
regs.
So, Capt Jamie, only because Stevie isn't at the table right now, I'm going to try to take us away from ice fishing again.
It's almost lucky for you because I
yeah.
feel like he would bogart the whole episode.
Oh,
because
yeah.
He has a lot of questions.
That poor feller.
Did he drop any questions for anybody, or sometimes he leaves notes for us?
No, he knew this time that we had this one under wraps. We had plenty of questions.
Gotcha.
And if we
Well,
could,
we can talk ice fishing, like in January or something.
We'll call you
true.
back. I'll be round 2.
That's true.
All right.
Good point. I'm sure we're going to have ice fishing month coming up. So,
Not
but
next
for
month.
now, not next month. But for now, if we could get back to the catfish, what are you running on your setup? So let's say you get a couple clients on the boat, you pull up on a spot with your electronics. It's going to be productive or should be productive.
Mm-hmm.
What are you throwing?
So I use Big Cat Fever rods, and I use Slime Line. Okay, so both of those are by the company Catch the Fever, and they have medium heavy, and heavy rods. I use the mediums on the Susky. I use the medium heavy if the river's running really high and fast, just because I can throw more lead with them. And then I actually use the heavies for the shark trips. So I'm using Big Cat Fever for just about everything.
Oh, wow.
And the medium, you can still hook out there, 4 or 5 ounces of lead in a bait and no problem. So don't let medium scare you away thinking it's not sturdy enough. Like we caught our 44.5 pounder on a medium and it was perfect. So
nice.
Yeah, so we're throwing Big Cat Fevers I run 30-pound mono slime line. I don't use braid. I'm anti-braid for catfish on the river.
Really?
Yeah, it's very rocky. Braid and rock doesn't really get along so well.
Yeah.
So I've heard and experienced.
I've experienced that as well.
But to each their own. There's the braid and mono debate that will never end.
And
but
did you
for
say
me
30 pound?
30, yeah, I use
Okay.
30. And then 50-pound leaders. I use the Slime Line's actually coming out with a leader line that I've been testing, but it's not on the market yet, so I can't drop too much about it yet, but it's been really, really good. That'll be out soon.
Keep my eye out for that then.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. And then they also, the Prospec Fluoro, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, the Berkeley Prospec Fluorocarbon. That stuff's real nice too. So I use a lot of that, and I use 50-pound for my leaders.
Are you a strict believer in fluoro for your leader?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
The stuff that I'm talking about from Slime Line is not fluoro. but it's durable as heck. So I really like it, and it has a good knot hold. Like whenever you snell it, sometimes when you snell a 50-pound, as soon as you let go, the knot kind of backs off and loosens up. You don't get any of that. So they're both really good lines. So
are you running? How are your like sinker setups? Like what is your rig?
I don't just run one rig all the time. It's going to change with river conditions and how they're feeding. So I can't say, exactly what it would be, for whenever someone might go out. But generically speaking, a sinker slide on the main line. Okay. And if you don't know what a sinker slide is, it's like a plastic thing that slides up and down your main line that has a snap on it.
Yeah,
that you can snap your lead to.
You see that a lot in surf fishing.
Yeah.
Yes. So out there, they're calling them fish finder rigs.
Yep.
But yeah. Yep. So you're going to use one of those on the main line. And then I do a bead to protect my knot a little bit. And then not a snap swivel, just a barrel swivel. That's it. So that's my main line setup. The reason I do it that way is because I pre-tie all of my leaders ahead of time, and I keep them in my rig wrap cases, which if you haven't seen those things are awesome. Definitely check them out. Their rig wraps are these little individual plastic cases that you can put your rigs in, and it keeps them all organized, and they have air holes. They dry out. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, it's all just kind of spooled up in individual pieces then. Huh.
Exactly. And then so
no more Ziploc bags.
Or pool noodles. Yeah, all the stuff I've done over the years. No more of that.
I'm looking at my chopped up piece of pool noodle that's right up here that I've been running leaders and stuff like that on, or snelled hooks that I've tied myself, and look into one of these.
Yeah, that sounds way better.
Heck yeah, it does.
So on those leaders then, so like I said, the 50-pound mono or fluoro, depending whatever you want to use. Depending on the bite and who's fishing, some people really like to set a hook. Some people can't set a hook to save their life. So you kind of have to figure out what type of person you have, their experience level, and their drive, we'll say. If they want to set hooks, then you can run a J. But typically I run a lot of circles or Kales.
Okay.
And the hook I've been using a lot lately is by Hooker's Terminal Tackle, and it's called the Mad Catter 8.8. The Mad Catter.
I see what they did there.
Yeah. And the Mad Catter happens to be the name of my boat too, so that's kind of cool.
Wow,
Nice.
That's awesome.
They named the hook after your boat.
I honestly didn't know your boat had. I didn't know the name of your boat, but
It definitely
that's
has a
awesome.
name.
That's
Fanboy
Thank
fail.
Fanboy fail. Epic.
He was waving to it, but couldn't see the name.
But yeah, so an 8.8 on there, or a 7/0 to 8 to 9/0 circle, depending how big your bait is. You always want to match your bait to your hook size. That's important.
Yeah.
And then the little rattles. Have you seen the line rattles yet?
No, do tell.
Okay, so line rattles they're like two plastic balls that go right above the hook, or you can put it on your main line, wherever you want. It's an inline rattle. And they come in all different colors. Some glow in the dark, some are chrome. You get whatever you want. And that's just going to add some sound to your rig as well.
Oh.
So if there's a lot of current, they're going to kind of rotate and spin and shake and cause a ruckus down there to attract the fish. Or if you have a live bait on there and you're fishing still water, the live bait swimming around will cause it to rattle.
Okay.
And what is your bait?
So we'll use bluegills is probably our most common one. I really like pumpkin seeds. They're like flathead candy.
I like that.
Let's see here. We use fall fish and smaller catfish. You get into the colder months like October, early November. The bigger ones are feeding up pretty good, and you can get away with using some pretty big baits. So sometimes the game is big baits and long weights, but payout's usually pretty good. So in that case, we'll use a lot of bullheads, large fall fish, even some smaller channels.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah.
Do you do anything with chunk bait?
So not like old, rotten, frozen chunk bait, but I will do fresh live cut bait. So like if you take a bluegill out of the cooler or, out of your bait cooler and then just cut it up and use it immediately, I'll do that. But I don't do anything with frozen baits for flatheads.
Okay. Like I've heard of guys using shad. We'll catch shad in the Delaware River early in the spring, and then later in the summer, we'll pull them out of the freezer, chop them up, and try to use them for catfish on the river.
Sure, you can try to do that. It's a real
greasy fish. It's
Absolutely,
a lot of oil.
Yeah, you can do that, especially because in the spring they tend to eat more of that stuff because there's fish that have died over the winter that are now thawing out and they're kind of rotten, and they're going to eat up on them. So yeah, that would be the time of year where you could probably pretty easily get away with using some frozen baits.
Okay.
But now, like right now, you're much better off with either live bait or, freshly cut bait for sure.
It's like Subway down there.
You just gotta give them a little bit of everything. Figure out what they want. Yep.
So when we book a charter with you, are we going to go out and catch?
When we book a charter with you.
Yeah. See what I did there? Are we going to go out and catch the sunfish? Are we going to catch bait and then go fish, or?
No, so I do all of that. Yeah, no, so I do all of that. I have a friend that helps me out, and sometimes I'll drag my small army of children out to help me as well. As you can probably imagine, I go through a lot of bait fish. So that's all done prior to your trip, and I just show up with it ready to go.
How, for our listeners that want to do that, how are you keeping those baits alive and fresh?
Because I go through them pretty regularly, I'm not keeping them alive for a long time. So you can, if you have like a large cooler, like a large igloo cooler.
Yeah.
Okay. You can drill a hole in the lid, just a small hole, like the diameter of a pencil. All right. And then you can just get one of the portable aerators, like little Fravel jobbies or, whatever. Mm-hmm. Take a few batteries and run the aerator hose down in through that, put your stone on, and you can either like put a bungee on top to hold your aerator, or the little Velcro strips are pretty cool. Oh, so you just put a piece of Velcro on the aerator and one on the cooler and just voila. So, you can catch them, put them in there immediately after you catch them. As long as you freshen up your water, if it's going to be a day or two, you should be all right. You just want to make sure that the water's fresh and they have air on them, and you should be all right.
Yeah, so the bait that you're catching is probably, within 24 or 48 hours out of the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Now,
cool.
I do have a pretty elaborate commercial bait tank set up for my business because of, having different kinds and keeping them separated and things like that. But for the average angler, having a 54 or, so quart cooler is going to keep plenty of bait fish alive for them.
Right. Can I ask, you can tell me if this is a good question or not, but can I ask, how do you panfish for the numbers? Because I find that oftentimes panfish are pigs and they'll swallow anything. So are you running? How do you panfish to keep these things alive and healthy?
So I use a really tiny treble hook. And I know whenever you first think about it, you think, well, they'd swallow that in a heartbeat. But they don't. It's weird. I can't explain it. But I've had much better luck fishing with a small treble, like a number 14.
Wow.
We're talking tiny, okay? With just a tiny little piece of worm on it. And dip it in there as soon as you see your indicator or float or whatever you're using. As soon as you see that start to move, kind of flick and pull it out. Now, when you get it out of the water, it might look like it swallowed it, but usually what happens is that treble just kind of gets buried in the side of its mouth a little bit. So if you use your needle nose, you just push down gently and it dislodges and then it's fine.
Wow.
So, with the little J's and little circles, I had a lot more hook swallowers.
Yeah. Huh.
Are you crimping hooks on that? Like crimping the barb?
No, these hooks are so tiny. They're so tiny. I don't do anything with the barbs.
Yeah, that is a small hook. I know for trout fishing, I use those Joe flies, and sometimes they have those number 12 treble hooks. I can imagine those 14s
are so small.
Yeah, they're very tiny. And like I said, it's amazing how many don't swallow them. I mean, I've been using the same bait hook all year. Like, no kidding.
Huh.
I haven't even lost my hook yet.
That's awesome.
We're talking hundreds of bluegills. So,
Guys, can we switch it up a little bit?
No.
Only a tiny amount.
Because she mentioned one of my favorite species to catch.
Is that right? Bluegill.
Come on.
Pumpkin seed bluegill.
Well, other than that, my second favorite.
Smallmouth bass.
Fall fish.
No, come on.
Smallies.
You guys all fail that question.
Smallies.
Flounder. Come on.
Oh, she did say flounder.
Yeah, she did.
And
yeah. So we do a short little flounder window in the spring, in the month of April.
What are your tips and tricks on flounder?
Small hooks, small travels.
14s.
Number 14 treble. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you want to use a number
Mind
14
blown.
treble and 8-inch bluegill. That's the ticket right
Mind
there.
blown.
That's impressive.
Slip sinkers.
So my tips for flounder. I like to run a high-low.
Right.
Okay, so you're running a 2-hook rig. As little weight as it takes to keep your bait down. All right, so don't overdo it. So a lot of times if you're drifting, you can get away with 3/8 to an ounce. Sometimes you might have to go up to 1.5, but that's about it. So not a lot of lead. And there's a color of gulp called nuclear chicken.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's pink and green.
Nuclear chicken.
Man, does it work. It works so well. Like, I don't know why. It works better than green and it works better than pink. I can't explain it, but having those two colors together is killer. So what we'll do is we'll run a live minnow, like the mud minnows you get at the beach.
Yep.
And we'll run one of those, one on each hook. Change it up. You can run live on the bottom, gulp on top, or gulp on the bottom, live on top, till you figure out what they're hitting best. But I do one of each. And if for some reason they're not hitting the nuke chicken, then I go with plain old white.
Okay. Are you dressing up that hook? Are you like running an inline spinner on that? Or
No spinners. I'm not a fly fisherman, and I'm definitely not good at tying flies or anything. But I do tie a little like white and kind of sparkly cellophane skirt on the hook that I put the gulp on.
Are you tying that directly to the hook, or are you like running a slip skirt on top of the snelled line?
Okay, so I am really not good at this, as I said. So I just tie it right onto the hook because that's what I know how to do, and it works.
Hey, whatever works. Definitely. And you're mostly drift fishing for that.
Yeah, we're always moving. That's something. I mean, unless I'm fishing for catfish, you're really gonna rarely see me drop an anchor. Okay. I think having baits moving is big key for catching fish.
Makes sense to me.
It should. You start doing those worm harnesses and stuff now. You're all about it.
About to troll.
I like it.
You are a troll.
Guys, you aren't going to let me live this one down, but it's actually about that time.
Stop it.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Already?
It is. You're
killing
me.
me.
Bear with me. Bear with me. Captain Jamie, this is that point in the show where we actually like to throw the Fast Five, is what we call it, at the guests, where we're going to ask you a series of questions. There are no wrong answers, but like everybody likes to say, we'll let you know when they're wrong.
Yeah, we'll
let
tell
you
you.
know.
And it's just the first thing that comes to mind, and we'll see where this goes. What do you think?
Okay. All right. I'm ready.
I'd like to keep you on your toes. So, number one, I'll kick us off here. What are you most proud of?
My children.
Very nice.
Solid answer.
Perfect.
You said you had 4?
Yeah, so I have 1, and then we have 3 bonus children.
Okay.
Love it.
Cool.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Question number 2. One thing you can't live without in the outdoors.
Water.
Oh.
We're not going to say that one's wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But when you say water, I just need to have like a 2-point A. I need a follow-up question.
Are you allowed
here.
to do that?
Are you referring to water that you're consuming because your body needs it to survive, or are you referring to you need
water.
to be on the water fishing?
I don't drink water. Water tastes gross.
Okay. Good call.
I drink Coca-Cola, but
More of a Diet Pepsi guy, but I see where you're going with this.
Here we go.
Both of those, I mean, the main ingredient is like water or something, but we just
yeah,
make
I know,
it taste
but
good.
it's cleverly disguised water,
Yes.
and I like that. So.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, Jamie. Question number 3. What makes you happy?
Oh, helping people, I think, you know? Like, I know that's really general, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Learning, it's two. It's a 2-part answer if I'm allowed to do that. Learning, because I love learning. Like, I can't learn too much. I'm a total geek. So learning and then being able to help people with what I've learned. So.
Okay. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Number 4, what's your favorite movie?
Jaws, probably.
Jaws.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Jaws.
I like
I'm gonna
it.
have to go with Jaws.
You might need a bigger boat.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I do. 24 feet isn't big enough sometimes.
That's great.
I can't imagine intentionally trying to get sharks closer to the boat in the dark.
It's
while
very fun.
my favorite movie is playing in the back of my head. Like, there's just reasons to not do some things. Oh, my. Well, that actually brings us right into number 5 of the Fast 5. We inadvertently touched on this a little bit earlier, so I'm going to change this up just a little bit. Outside of fishing, what's on your bucket list?
Outside of fishing?
Yep.
Is there something? Is there anything
in life
outside of fishing?
You could make it a destation where you're probably going to be going fishing, but yeah.
And you just checked off being on a podcast.
Yeah, that's done.
Yeah, that's done.
I don't know. I think it'd be pretty cool to go to Australia and fish over there. I think that's a pretty cool country, and I've known a few people that have lived there and told me about it and the shark fishing and just all the crazy fish that are there. So I know it still gets right back to fishing, but that would be a cool place to visit, I think.
I will allow it as an answer, and it's perfect. I mean, that's one of those destinations where whether you're in the water or you're on the land, there's about a 60% chance that anything you run into is either poisonous, venomous, or will eat you.
Just eat you up.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. Yeah, sounds dreamy, right?
yeah.
Let's add some chum in the water.
Even the koala bears I've heard are dangerous. They look so cute and cuddly, but
they'll just poke your eyes out.
Yeah.
I used to say the Amazon. That would have been my answer before I caught my peacock bass. But now that I got that off the list, I don't need to go to the Amazon.
That was good enough. I still want to
definitely good.
Yeah, I still want to do that. They're just bigger and badder down there.
They are for sure.
Jamie, it was great to have you on this show, but we are definitely bumping up on time.
Come on, Deke.
I know. But before we let you go, how about you tell our listeners where they can find you?
So if you guys go to Facebook, I know it's for old people, but, that's what my kids say. But I am on Facebook at Breakline Charters, and it's BREAK, Breakline Charters. Also on Instagram, Breakline Charters. And, of course, I have a website. Bet you can't guess what it is. BreaklineCharters.com. Yeah. So you can find me at any of those places. In the winter, you'll find me on some frozen lake. And in the summer, you'll find me on the river.
That's awesome.
Perfect. Do you have any? Do you have a schedule of seminars coming up for the winter? Anything out there?
I haven't actually gotten show dates yet, but I'm sure I'll be doing the Wellsville show again. That is a very nice show. Steve's been running that thing for years. I always enjoy going to that one. So I'll be talking at that. That's usually mid-March.
Right.
The Donegal show is usually the weekend after that. And I'll probably be doing that one too because that's another nice little show. And yeah, there's some things being talked about the end of February that I can't really talk about right now, but you can stay tuned for that a little later. I'm sure once it's all firmed up, that'll be on the Facebook and everything.
Perfect.
Well, maybe we'll confirm all of those things in February when we talk to you about ice fishing. That might work.
That'd be pretty fun.
So, Jamie, it was great to have you on this show. We're going to have you stay on the line because we need to get your mailing address. We're going to send you some Mad Fish spices from the Mad Fisherman himself.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie Moore.
Yes. If you want to check out Mad Fish Spice, make sure you look at Shop Mad Fish.
Go to shopmadfish.com.
Oh, there you go. On Instagram.
Or in the internet.
And
don't forget, it is made from the best spices on earth.
No offense.
Hey.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, yeah, Capt and Jamie, thank you so much. Hang on
Thank
the
you,
line.
guys.
We'll get that information, get those spices out to you. It's been a blast,
Awesome.
as I fully anticipated.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Jamie.
Sounds awesome. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you.
We'll see ya.
Ah, good stuff.
Oh,
Good
yes.
stuff, guys.
Oh, definitely.
Hey, don't forget, this month's episode was also brought to you in part by Scared Fishless Tackle Company.
Scared Fishless.
Make sure you head on over to scaredfishless.com. Check out everything they've got going on, from their 6-inch diamondback worm
Love that diamondback worm.
all the way to the fatty boom batty bucky.
Whoa.
That's right. Hey, check out all the cool colors that they've got too, but guess what?
What?
They also do custom colors. You got a color you love? Send them a sample. They'll match it as best they can. Get over to scaredfishless.com. Check it out, guys. How about that stuff? Gotta love it.
That was awesome.
Hey, Brian.
What's up, Ryan?
Where can folks find us?
Ryan, you can find us at Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Rutten River Pursuits.
Oh,
That
yeah?
checks out.
Don't forget YouTube's.
Oh, yeah, the YouTubes.
You got to search Rutten River Pursuits podcast. And you can download this podcast and any of our other podcasts at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio.
Boom.
I
Loving
heart
it.
those radios.
We do, bud. We do.
All right. Great night, guys.
Good job, boys.
Yep.
We'll see ya.
See you next time.
Rig 'em weedless.
Get outdoors.
So that's why I went with the lime green and black. But, you know, it looks cool and it's kind of stuck. So
Yeah, the lime green
It's
and,
sharp.
and the black boat. It's a force of its own out there. And like I said,
Thank
every
you.
once in a while, I'm like the fanboy over in the bank waving. You know, but it's cool.
What are your tips and tricks on flounder?
Small hooks, small travels.
14s.
number 14 treble. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you want to use a number
Mind
14
blown.
treble and 8-inch bluegill. That's the ticket right
Mind
there.
blown.
That's impressive.
Slip sinkers.
I don't know if I said this, but this is my first podcast. I was on a radio station a few times, and that was kind of weird because you're just sitting in a room like by yourself with padded walls, and I hoped I'd never got to that point in my life, you know?
So this is just even
you're-
weirder because you're talking to 4 dudes who are in a padded room.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, at least I'm in company.
We have straight jackets, so we're secure and safe.
Later they'll let us out.